773-0490. Those telephone numbers once again are 773-0390 and 773-0490. And please don't forget, for those of you who are calling from outside of the Virgin Islands, you will need to use a 340 area code in order to get through. Yes. Time in our studios right now is about 27 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock. We apologize for the late start, but we're here to start nevertheless. And without any further ado, we're going to bring in the legendary one, King Solomon, and he's going to tell us all about the morning time, the banana trees, and Thelma.
Everybody wake up morning time. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, they come from mountain. They come from mountain, they come from mountain side. Wake up this beautiful morning, enjoy the freshness of the breeze, into the beautiful garden. Tell me what's the banana tree. I hear the dog for morning time. Everybody wake up morning time. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, they come from mountain side. They come from mountain, they come
See that?
from mountain side. They come from mountain side. They come from mountain, they come from mountain side.
Oh, yes. Well, you know, they always come from mountainside. That's the legendary one, King Solomon. Wake up, wake up this morning with the wake up song, King Solomon. Yes. And before we get into anything else, let's get into our daily readings or wisdom teachings that come from our ancient ancestors. And we begin with these adages, maxims, and great wisdom teachings. When a man teaches, he speaks to the future. When a man teaches, he speaks to the future. Speak ma'at, do ma'at. Speak ma'at, do ma'at. And we know that ma'at is the ancient symbol for truth, right, and justice. Truth, right, and justice. And to these we may add balance, harmony, and reciprocity. Balance, harmony, and reciprocity. Speak ma'at, and do ma'at. Strive for excellence in all you do, so that no fault can be found in your character. Strive for excellence in all you do, so that no fault can be found in your character. It is in the development of character that instruction succeeds. It is in the development of character that instruction succeeds. And what that says is that instruction or education was not about learning facts and figures. It was also about the development of your character. That was part of the education system that our ancient ancestors had many thousands of years ago in the Nile Valley. The development of character. And it is because of these things why this civilization was able to last so long. People take it for granted, people just overlook it. But name another civilization, whether in the ancient world or in the modern world, that has lasted for 10,000 years. 10,000 years. The reason for that? It is in the development of character that instruction succeeds. Do ma'at that you might live long upon the earth. Do ma'at that you might live long upon the earth. Ma'at is that which endures and raises a person and a people up. Ma'at is that which endures and raises a person and a people up. Sweeter is the water of one who has given than the wine of one who has received. Sweeter is the water of one who has given than the wine of one who has received. Do to the doer that he may also do. Do to the doer that he may also do. Let your generosity reach one who needs it. Let your generosity reach one who needs it. It is not food or wealth which sustains a people and a community. It is righteousness. It is not food or wealth which sustains a people and a community. It is righteousness. When character is lost, all is lost. When character is lost, all is lost. The ruin of a nation begins in the homes of its people. The ruin of a nation begins in the homes of its people. And those are our daily readings, our daily maxims, adages, wisdom teachings that come from our ancient ancestors. Values and principles that we can still live by today. And before we go any further, I just want to send out my condolences and sympathies going out to all those who have lost loved ones in the past few weeks. I know lost quite a bit of people that I knew have passed away within recent weeks and months. So we offer our condolences and our sympathies to their friends and their loved ones and relatives on the passing of these souls. Yes, and here we are again on a Friday. This is the last Friday of the month. Actually, it's the last day of the month. And we will be entering into a new month tomorrow, as well as there is also the Democratic primary election. But before we get bogged down with all of that, there are a few things we want to just point out. A few reminders. Last week I sent out some tributes, and I would like to send that out again to a good friend who has passed away. And we were good friends at personal level, and also we have shared the musical stage many times. And the it is just sad to know that we'll never be able to share that musical stage again. And as I was telling someone who has attended a lot of these musical performances and concerts in the past, uh, at least we do have some videotapes or some, some recordings of her singing and her music that we can cherish. And I'm speaking about none other than Miss Claudette Adjoa Young Hines, vocalist extraordinaire. Yes, Claudette Adjoa Young Hines, and her passing, we send extended sympathies and condolences, especially going out to her husband, Mr. Hines, and her daughter, Shani, who I got to know personally over the years, as well as there was also the funeral for Mr. Glenwood Charles, someone who I knew briefly. He was a few grades ahead of me in school and grew up here in Christian said, so I knew him just, on the surface, we basically were acquainted with each other. But yes, condolences and sympathies to the friends, family, loved ones of Mr. Glenwood Charles, MD, as a matter of fact, Dr. Glenwood Charles. Yes. And also on the passing of, we heard of the passing of attorney Michael Joseph. Yes, he was a caller, occasional caller to this program. Anytime we have called and we have had conversations on various topics. And so he is someone that I also knew well, was a personal friend. Yes, condolences, sympathies going out to Mr. Attorney Michael Joseph. Yes, and again, to all those names that I can't think of right now, or names that I may have missed, folks who passed away within the past few months. Oh, yes, Mr. Lloyd Henry. Oh, yes, I can't forget Lloydie, also known to a lot of friends as Beige. Yes, on his passing. There's so many, and I I did make a list, but and I didn't want to make a list, but there's so many, and I probably have forgotten some. But if those who remember, you can always call me and pull me up on those who I forgot to mention. But for right now, I think there is a call on the line, so we are going to go to that caller. Good morning and welcome.
Yeah, Pikey, morning. How are you today?
All right, man. Good, man. How are you doing?
Doing good, thanks.
Yes, and I did get in touch with your brother. He's supposed to pass today. I hope.
Yes.
I hope he does.
Yeah, he did tell me that. He did tell me he's gonna come by there today.
Yes.
Yeah.
I spoke to him earlier in the week. Yes. And,
Okay.
I just didn't get a chance to call him back. To
Yeah.
But he's supposed to come by today. So I have a stuff here for him. So how you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
Okay, that's good.
Was listening to you talk about the wisdom teachings a while ago, and it sent my memory back to what we as parents need to take those teachings and understand that we are responsible for the wrongdoing of our children.
Well, yes, because we are the ones that are bringing them up. We are the ones that are raising them up. We're supposed to be teaching them also. We're the parents are the first teachers,
Exactly, first teachers. And I put it towards a sad situation, but it was sadder because this father who had bought a rifle for his son for Christmas, I know his father didn't tell him take the gun to school and shoot, never mind kill anyone. But he gave two of his classmates and two teachers And of course, they said that he, the father, is responsible. And the father only got 15 years, but the boy got lifetime without parole.
Oh, that's the one for yesterday. I think that's the one. Or 2 days ago.
I forget what state this
Yeah,
is.
they had a case about 2 days ago, or something like that. Yeah.
But the sentencing was yesterday.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, when you look at it, you think, that's harsh, but it's really not harsh.
Well, listen, man. You know,
you take 4 lives for what? What reason you take 4 lives for? You know?
Listen, man. You buy toys for children. You don't buy guns.
Exactly.
You don't buy guns for children. But you buy toys for children. You can't buy a gun for a child and just hope or think that nothing is going to go wrong. Nothing might go wrong, but then suppose it does. What do you say to that? You know?
You use all precaution that it don't happen.
And this is one of the problems we face in here in this society and in all the societies throughout, I would say throughout the Western world.
Yeah.
Is that you know, we have placed guns in the hands of children, on young people who during the school years showed no sense of responsibility, no sense of really understanding right from wrong.
Right.
And then these people grow up with that same reckless behavior, and then you put guns in their hands. You make guns available to them, man. Then you asking for problems. That's a recipe for problems, serious problems too.
Exactly.
You know?
But then look at the foolishness. Why would a child want to fashion his life and behavior over some other clown that have done mass shooting? Why you want to put that in your head and you are going to school with a toy your father bought for you and shoot up, kill 4 people? Why?
Well, I want to believe part of it is just the society and the outside things that they are hearing, not just from the parents, but things that they're hearing outside. They're being influenced by the parents and also by the outside world there. You know, the neighborhood, the street, and everything is influencing them. You know, and these are people who have not shown any real sense of reasoning. So these are minds that could be easily swayed and led down the wrong path, so to speak. You know?
Exactly. You're right, and down the wrong path, because I am sure everyone here good things every day. They have bad things every day. So why you want to choose the bad? How come you choose the good? You know? How come you choose the good? And the thing is this, I always tell people, you know, and this is why I believe and maybe continue to hope that there does not be a race war in America. As I could tell you, I've been around white folks enough to know they got more guns.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes we are little black people that have a pea shooter in our pocket and we think we got guns. But then there people got gun closet, gun buried under the floor of the house, gun here, gun there, gun everywhere.
Well, you know, I saw a documentary one time with this gentleman out somewhere in the United States, Midwest, United States, and he had so many guns that he was able to take them and form a circle around his house with these guns.
But that's good.
Now, I mean, why? Here's one individual to form a circle with these guns, placing them on the ground all right around his house. He circumnavigate his house. I mean, so you're talking about nothing less than about 50 different type of guns he had between rifles and handguns. And I mean that, and I think it was probably more than 50.
Yeah.
But why you as an individual would want to have 50 firearms? And
Well,
the reason for that, not to cut you off, but I'll tell you this, right?
yeah.
And it's
Okay.
been it's been common knowledge for years now. A lot of people have been hearing this thing for years, and people have just been ignoring it and just brushing it off. But going back to what you said earlier, just a few seconds ago, there are people in the United States who really sincerely believe that a race war is coming, and they want to be prepared.
You're right. You're right to that. And the white boy who is very scared of the black boy, he makes sure he back in. You understand me?
Mm-hmm.
So, Mikey, I got some people right and say, you have right to call these people your friend in a concept. Well, I'll tell my associate, this white boy out in Houston. Let me tell you something. It's several hundred guns this man got. Now, he's a gun collector. He
Mm-hmm.
has license for several pieces of ammunition. But then all the rest of them is unlicensed. They don't get a license for all of them.
Right.
You see, when he collect his gun, if he goes to the dog, if he find a piece of gun, he fix it for it together. He make it able to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
You see, but then again, you got to say, and I'm going after this. The authorities cause these things to happen, and I said it already, but I'm going to say it again. Take myself, for instance. I'm the Virgin Islands. I'm licensed for 3 firearms. 12-gauge shotgun, 38 police special, and a 9mm.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the British Virgin Islands, I can't. My license says for the U.S. Virgin Islands is not going to be covered in the British Virgin Islands. So as a businessman over there, I could get the same 3 weapons.
Okay.
I go to Georgia, where I spend some time. They don't recognize it like I said, so I have to get another 2, 3, 4, whatever amount I want. I go to Houston, I may call any amount of days, so that I'm selling weapons all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, license to carry as a business person. And sometimes I look at it, what the hell I need all these guns for? But then the authority, the government allow me to have them, to be licensed to carry them.
Mm-hmm.
But then some people, I would say, you go to a carnival, or you go to an outing, a party, a graduation party, with 6-month-old baby getting shot down by a loose bullet. Why you going there with guns? I got a guy like a party.
Right. That's hey.
But
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know. But
Very
I
unfortunate.
don't know. I really don't know.
Very, very unfortunate. That very unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. I mean, the thing that's happening today, a 6-year-old find his mother gun, put down, he pick it up, playing with it, pointed at his 3-year-old brother and blow his brains out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Of course, she got to go to jail for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now the children and somebody got to mind the other 2 or 3 that children that she has.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God. Yeah, my son. Anyway, I'm going to continue to listen and see what's
it's all a part of the all a part of what we call the mental enslavement. So.
Mental enslavement and the system. That's like it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, my son, it's the key, man. And
yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
Yes, folks. Personally, I believe that it's time for guns to be made illegal, man. They need to make these things illegal. There's no need. There was a time in the United States or in America, in this part of the world, when people had a legitimate excuse
I'll be back.
for needing guns. There was a time, especially during the so-called colonial era, when the first Europeans were coming to the continent, were coming to the America, and even though we know that they fought the Indians, they were fighting the Indians for over their own home. I mean, the place was belonged to the Indians, and the Europeans came and they figured that well, they came with the attitude that God actually gave them the right to settle on the North American continent and to conquer the continent and to conquer anyone who was there. And it was the belief that anyone who was there and was not a Christian deserved to be conquered or deserved to be eliminated to make room for the incoming Europeans. That was the prevailing belief. That was the prevailing attitude 200 years ago when the country was founded. This was the attitude, and we see it came to fruition in something that was called manifest destiny. And I've read about it a couple times here on this show, and manifest destiny basically was saying that these Europeans and their descendants have the God-given right to dominate the North American continent, but not only the North American continent, but also to dominate Central America and the South American continent. This was the prevailing belief among those people at the time. And we can even see traces of it still lingering because the president, Mr. Trump, still trying to fulfill that promise of manifest destiny. Because he went, he invaded Venezuela, and now he's been making threats for the past few months to invade Cuba. And to the point where he has been putting a whole lot of economic pressure on Cuba. For what? Cuba is not a threat to the United States. They just want to live a different life. They just believe in living a different life, living under a different system. They just believe in running their own affairs according to how they see fit. Well, the people in North America who still want to believe in this manifest destiny believe that no, things got to be running our way. We're going to run things our way, not your way. You don't have any say. We have the say because we have the rifles, we have the guns, we have the bombs, we have the airplane, we have the money. So things gonna run our way. Well, that is the prevailing attitude, and I wonder sometimes, we as Virgin Islanders, we call ourselves Americans, if that is the way we feel that it should be. All we need to do is just stop, and look back, just a few short years back to when we were in shackles. People don't really understand or don't seem to understand the history of what went down here in these islands. Because there were a time when our ancestors were sleeping on the ground, the dirt. This is what was given to us. We were forced to sleep on the ground and dirt. Gave you a little shack or little shack to sleep in as a slave. And all you had nothing in there, just to lay down on the ground and the bare dirt, and you sleep on that. You were given some clothes to wear, and you wore that until it rotten off your back. Wear the same shirt and pants for years, maybe how depending on how long the material was able to hold up. That's how long you wore those clothes. And here it is now. We're looking at the same type of attitude being put on another set of people. Oh no, they didn't make the Venezuelan slaves, but it's the same attitude. It is the same attitude. But anyway, I see we have a caller holding, so let's go to the phone lines. Good morning, caller, and welcome.
Yeah, Pikey,
Yes.
you know, I keep asking myself every day, who it is that dead off and leave Donald Trump in charge?
Well,
I have to ask that question because this man believes that somehow he was granted the authority to rule not only America but the world.
well, I mean, you remember that cartoon that he published online there a few months back, where he was supposed to be a doctor and he was dressed in robes, the same type of clothes like Jesus Christ was supposed to be dressed in. And then after a lot of people found it offensive, and then they removed it.
Right.
And he was saying, well, he wasn't portraying Jesus; he was portraying himself as a doctor. But you see, these things, a lot of people laugh it off and just troops it off and all this kind of thing and whatnot. But these things reveal what the man really has in his heart and in his mind. These are serious things. You got to look at these things seriously. You just can't. Sometimes you just can't just brush these things off as a bad joke.
Exactly.
This is serious. This is what exactly this man has in his mind, and he's been saying this out from his first term.
Right.
I remember he made a statement where he said that he made a statement to the effect where he said he was he was some type of excuse me, I mean Mr. Davis. Yes, you could come right up. It's $90. Come on up. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Up until 10 o'clock.
Yeah. That sounds like my brother.
Yes.
Good. Okay.
Sure. Call me about 10 o'clock. Yes. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But yes, he said that he's something shepherd. I forgot the term he used, but I remember this was during his first term when he said that.
Right.
He was some guy gave himself some name, and he's been saying it. As a matter of fact, in this second term, I can remember. I think it was sometime last year when he said that. He made a statement. He said he ruled the world. He runs the world. He runs not only the United States, but he runs the world. He said that, and I didn't take it as a joke at all. You know, some people took it as a joke. He just talking nonsense, but this is what the man believed in his mind. You know,
Exactly.
and this is what, and basically what he was trying to achieve. You know,
right? And you see, Pikey, the thing is this, that a lot of people failing to understand, never mind realize. Some people have the power of persuasion and things that they say. And if you look around now, the amount of people like him that believe the same way, and more every day, particularly younger people. That they're supposed to be in charge, and what they say goes.
Yeah. Well, you know? that feeling has been around for quite a while, and he has been championing that, and the people see him as a symbol of that particular belief, and that is why he has become so popular. One of the reasons why he has become so popular is because he is the mouthpiece for a lot of people who are either afraid to say or don't want to say things, and he's willing to say. You know.
There's a 5-star general that I've been following for donkey years that is a major war strategist for the United States. And of course, number of them he fired, 4 and 5-star generals, a number of them quit. And they said they're not going to serve under him. I said, stupid thing to do it. You know why you do it. Okay? And this guy he said a thing that a lot of people don't know, that publicly Donald Trump goes out and big braggadocio and get chest push out, and even he could hardly walk now he fall. You know, he falls down going in the same big old plane he get from Qatar the other day, fall down and he fall the head. But privately, he himself is scared of what he has created. Well, he called it a war for what was supposed to last a week. 6 months now going into it.
Yes, there's something like about 6 months now. Yes.
And the losses to America is staggering. They're not telling us the whole truth. They will tell us about a few that died. There's hundreds, maybe there's thousands of American soldiers that have been hurt.
Well, see, one of the key things, one of the things that he was smart with in doing is that he, unlike his first term, when he got in the second term, he started putting certain people, some of his people, key people in positions that would support all his initiatives. You know, from the Supreme Court, you know, judges, right down to attorneys, to even members of Congress, right? You know, the people who he endorsed, most of them were able to win offices, win elections. Those he did not endorse, most of them lost. And he's been able, those who are able to maybe try to provide a little opposition to stand up to him, he cowed them down, you know. And most of Congress, most of Republican congressmen, they're afraid of him, seem to be afraid of him. I have to say that at least, you know, seem to be afraid of him, but you know, and they just do his bidding and do whatever he would want them to do because they want to hold their positions. I guess that's one of the reasons, because they feel that they need and they want his endorsement.
Right. But let me go by pointing this out. Even the little Dali, and I call her Dali, the blonde boy, Attorney General, some Pambandi or another.
Oh, well, she's gone now.
That's the toy.
Well, she's gone now.
And because she was not going fully with everything he was saying, he had to push it on the side. Now he got her and said that the carte blanche.
Mm-hmm.
He can't get him approved by the Senate. He going there, he want to answer the question them. Then Fauci from the side of the pandemic, he pleaded the fifth a million times.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I just had I had to laugh with that one. I really had to just laugh with that whole one, because I mean,
but he got to plead the fifth because it was to say what really happened. You know, but people he was implicated in this plan. Well, my Christ.
Well, I saw it as it was like a witch hunt, because see, they're trying to. I saw it this way, as they were trying to find something to blame him for. Right. And I would imagine that Fauci took that issue that, you know, before I go and say something that might entrap myself, let me just plead the fifth. Because and I think he did that basically. One of the reasons I think why he did that is because his attorney, he came to the hearing with an attorney, you know, but his attorney was removed from the hearing. I heard when the senator, well, yes, because in his absence, because I heard when Senator Rand Paul asked the I think it was the sergeant of arms or somebody to remove Fauci's attorney from the chambers, you know. Right. And so Fauci decided, well, hey, I don't have an advisor here with me, a legal man, to keep me on track. So I might as well just keep my mouth shut and don't say anything at all.
What Pikey call it a mistake, call it the work, a demon, or whatever name we want to give it. If we did pandemic, not a pandemic, pandemic, I wonder if we are aware that the most people that die are those that were vaccinated.
Well,
Some people never even put on a mask. I'm not saying to them.
that's true. I know that. I know people around here who probably had maybe like a slight cold or a flu,
Yeah.
and that was it. Some people had nothing at all.
When you taking vaccination and getting choked up and then choke up again and choke up again until you dead in. I don't fear of it. They wanted to, well, you know, it has been said that America, the war has too much people in it, so we got to get rid of some. Anyway.
Yes, that goes back. Listen, that one goes back to the Bilderberg conference, and that took place somewhere in the 1950s. I remember the Bilderberg, they decided, well, the earth is too populated and they need to get rid of some people and all this type of thing. Well, I don't know if that's what they did with the vaccine. I would like to hope it's not like that, but
well, you know, let me tell you something. I never been a person to take no vaccine. You know, you go to your doctor these days, and the first thing they ask you, it's flu season, you're going to take the vaccine. No, I don't shake him, man. No, don't tell me about I don't want it.
I have never taken the flu vaccine. I remember I've gotten vaccine. I remember when I was in first grade. You know,
Yeah,
we got
rubella and
we got the smallpox and all that kind of thing. I remember getting a vaccine and whatnot.
That's why I don't take them for this. People do like they don't know what they're doing, or they know what they're doing, and they're doing foolishness. I got again.
Okay, Mr. All right, take it over.
Yes, right.
Yes. Anyway, I see some things happening. Like I said, there's no need. To me, in my opinion, there's no need for the weapons anymore. There was a time in the United States or in America when people felt that they had to be armed. It was a so-called a young country. You know, Europeans had just come in, and they considered, for the most part, they considered the Indians or the Native Americans to be their enemies, and they were trying to force their way in. And the Native Americans were pushing back. And so there was an antagonism between the two groups. And so many of the Europeans felt that it was necessary for them to have weapons to protect themselves. Well, was not just because of the Native American Indians, but it was also for animals. You know, you imagine you and your family living in the wilderness, basically, before you move to an area where, you know, you want some land and you don't want too much people around and you're pretty much isolated in the wilderness. Well, you have to protect yourself from wild animals. They were new to the country. A lot of things they were new to, they weren't really aware of, and they had to get used to these things. They had to learn about these things, and so that in the meantime, they needed to have some type of protection. You had bears, you had mountain lions, you know, you had wolves, you know, and this type of thing. So I could see where you would want to have some type of protection, some type of weapon to protect yourself from these things. But today, in the modern world, in this day of age now, I don't really see the need for that, you know, because more harm is being done now than before. When, you know, especially, you know, when the first Europeans were coming in here, people weren't shooting up themselves. Anybody was shooting after the Native Americans. Today, we have made weapons available to basically, you could say, the youngest person, children. And what are they doing but creating havoc? They're killing themselves, killing other people. Especially here in the Caribbean. And I've heard it said so many times, and it's true. There's nowhere in the Caribbean that guns are being manufactured, yet still we have so many guns in the Caribbean, and these guns are causing or helping to upset a lot of societies. But we have another caller, so let's go straight to the phone lines. Good morning, caller, and welcome.
Good morning, boss. How you doing?
Oh, not bad, man. How you doing?
Okay. One of the reasons why Americans are so gun crazy is because remember the first week of basic training, once you're in the military,
Mm-hmm.
they issue you a haircut, which to cut off all your hair. And the second thing they issue is your uniform. The next thing they issue is a rifle.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of what your MOS is, everyone in the military is an infantryman first, meaning everyone has to be certified in using a weapon. Because in the military, you don't use the word gun, you use the word weapon.
Weapon, right? Okay.
So that is one of the reasons why I think they're all obsessed about, weapons.
Well, I guess. Well, then that's who should have the weapons. In the military, people in the military, not civilians on the street. Because, like for example, I've heard it so many times over the years. I mean, donkey years, you hear people here, right here in the Virgin Islands, where they criticize certain other societies, non-American societies, I should say, and accuse them of this, accuse them of that. But when last have you heard a drive-by shooting or a school being shot up in on the island of Cuba? Now, maybe a lot of news doesn't come out of Cuba, but I don't remember hearing anything about any schools, any young person going in a school in Cuba and shooting up the school. I don't hear about people driving by in Cuba and firing shot and shooting people. You don't hear about I don't hear about people going to a party to have fun or to a rally and then you hear shooting break out. You don't hear that. Now, whether or not the Cuban government is suppressing that information, I can't say. But I doubt it very much because given the power of the news media and how it is today, I don't think they would have been able to suppress and hide that kind of thing.
I would say the ratio would be 1 to 100 if it did that.
If it did that call.
Their society are more disciplined towards other things that.
Yes, I agree with that. Yes. Oh, yes. I mean, and even. Well, now you're starting to hear some of that in Europe because even certain countries in Europe are even more disciplined. I've been to Europe, at least on 2 different occasions, and I could tell you that it seems to be a much more disciplined European society, I should say, on a whole, seems to be much more disciplined society than American society.
That's true.
The American society, to me, still have this philosophy like the old Wild West, where you could do what you want, you could do anything you want. The gun and weapon is the determining factor in everything,
I spent a lot of time in Europe, and the gun crime at the time when I was in Europe was almost non-existent. Once in a while, you have a scenario where somebody got shot, but as far as gun goes, it was minimum. Bare minimum.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, yes.
I make many urban cities.
Oh yes. Because listen, one thing I noticed, right, as and I could find a lot of fault with them, okay, but I would just using them for example as an example here right now, the state of Israel. The policemen don't carry guns,
I know that.
In Israel, the police don't carry. They have clubs, but they don't carry guns. The only people who carry guns there are the military, and maybe you could say the secret police. They don't have uniform. They just dress as civilians. But people in that area, military and people in that capacity are the ones who have guns.
Yeah, but like I said, if I was stationed at Fort Houston, and there's a town outside of there called Temple, Texas. And while I was at there, I normally would frequent Temple, and basically people were just walking around like you look at a Western movie. Their holster, and in some place within Arkansas and Texas, there's a small town where it's mandatory. That's right, mandatory that every resident of age carry a firearm. I'm referring to women also.
Right. Okay.
So let me ask you this question: did you buy your balwate already?
My what?
Balwate.
Balwate?
Yeah.
Man, listen, I haven't used balwate in a long time, man. I mean, those are things they used to rub you down with, them kind of thing, or what they used to call they used to anoint you down with them kind of thing when you got fever and all this kind of thing, you know.
Why do you think I asked you that question?
Boy, Balwalte, yes, man. I remember Balwalte, man. Well, I should ask you had any Coltal this morning?
No, no Coltal.
You know Coltal?
Yes.
You remember that, right?
Yes.
Those were the first aspirins, you know. I remember seeing them Coltal. Yeah, man.
Well, I tell you what. You need some Balwate for tomorrow night.
For tomorrow night. Oh,
yeah.
Well, not me, because I don't.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm saying you might need it to rub somebody.
Oh, my need to rub on somebody. Well, yes, because tomorrow, well, I'm gonna tell you, you gotta keep not only Malwalte, but you need the Coltal, and you're gonna need a toilet paper for tomorrow night, because tomorrow night gonna be the big night. That's when everybody gonna either celebrating or either finding an excuse, finding an excuse why they didn't win and all kind of thing this Sunday. So I could imagine.
Get him a South tree bat.
Get him a South tree bat.
Yeah.
No, but you can't use South alone, man. There's 7 different bushes you got to use, you know.
Well, these bushes are very hard to find, but South is, you know.
No, but you could still, man, pigeon peas bush is one of them. You could find pigeon peas all over the place now, man. People got pigeon peas growing, knocking dog right now. But I got a couple pods drying out in my truck right now that I want to plant some place.
You need a wash pan, you know, and we need me open no more to get wash.
That's true. Yeah, he closed now.
The guy at the market.
The fellow by the market there, yeah. What's his name again? The Spanish fellow. Oh man, and the name slipped me. He been there for years, man. He was the last person carrying them those galvanized wash pan. Yeah. Sundial. That's the name of man. That's the man. Sundial. Yes, man.
He used to go to he take a trip back home to get his haircut, you know. He never take a haircut.
I used to hear this thing, and I always thought I used to think people just making this thing up, you know. Like
it was real.
Said he went to take a trip to Spain once a year for a haircut.
Yeah, he had one here, you know.
Yeah, he was kind of bald on top. So I guess all he was cutting was along the sides and the back, you know. So, I don't know, man, but yeah, he used to carry the wash pans. Them you could have find different size wash pans and all this kind of thing, but he no.
They had a round one, he had square one.
Yeah, and I guess the scrub board and all this kind of thing you could have get there.
Right.
You know, but he gone no. So I don't know. I guess you go use the plastic. You go use a plastic base now.
Yeah, but after a while, it start to it start to leak and all kind of stuff.
Yeah, the plastic after a while, the weather, especially if you're leaving it outside, you know, the sun is going to mess it to get some dried and all this kind of thing, and water wetting it and it drying, wetting and drying, and after a while, the plastic becomes a little brittle.
Are you taking any bets tomorrow night?
If I'm doing what?
taking any bet?
Oh no. I am just I gonna just sit in the bleachers and enjoy the race, you know.
No follow, no follow the beaters.
No, because no. I just no, I gonna carry a bag of popcorn there with me and sit down and lean back, you know, and watch the race, you know. When the race done, I get up and I go and through the gate and I going home, you know. But no, I don't get involved especially in the primary because you know I really don't get involved in that. I have some ideas on who I think might be the best candidate out of the three, but I am going to leave it as that. I am not going to make that public, at least not right now. I'll just, you know, and I'll just leave it as that and say, well, um, may the best person win. Whoever wins, wins.
That's a mile and 8, right?
Yeah, that one, that distance isn't too long. I guess that's probably a mile or maybe a mile and 8, like you said. The big one in November, that's like the mile and the 16, the mile and 316. Yeah, a mile and 316. You know, I remember years ago, ain't too many horses could have run a mile and 316. You know, only a few. And I remember.
You remember Salosa?
I heard about that horse, but I didn't really know the horse. But I went to the races when I was very young in those days, but I didn't really. I was too really young to really get to know the horses. I only used to hear names. You know, I heard names like Foslad and Johnny Ace and Johnny Zero. Those are a few like that I remember names. But when I really started, following races, local races as a fan, would have been more in the late '60s. You know, with the era with Mr. West and Norman's Castle and Kid Brother and horses like that. Mr. West was one of the very few that could run that mile and 316. That was the longest distance they used to run at that time. And,
but the funny thing with Copemann, in those days you have to like Attorney Christian, Mr. Merley, Paddy Kerry.
Right there, he had some horses. Yeah, he had a horse. Yes, that's true. He had a horse. I heard about. I remember the man because he used to be in the store, but I can't remember seeing him on the racetrack. But I heard he had horses. Yes.
Yeah, in those days you had all those fellows who had horses. The race was frequent. It was orderly. And you didn't have the amount of complication you have now with building a track and 10 years to build a track and this kind of ignorance. I couldn't figure out what went wrong.
So, hey, listen, we went wrong. That's what it is. We went wrong. That was the problem. The track ain't went wrong, or we went wrong. The track is still there. You know, we were the ones that went wrong because, yes, I remember those days when all those people, you had those people like Dr. Chabot. He had horses. You had Dr. James, he had horses. His brother loves James, had horses. You had Judge Almary Christian in his earlier days, he had horses. You had Stephanos O'Reilly, he had horses. And then you had a lot of other small time people with horses. You had fellows like this fellow like Miles Macedon in Frederickstead, he had horses. Tassin Carino, he had some horses. Brady, what's his name? Brady there. He had horses. I forgot his first name now. He's still alive, Brady.
Alan.
Not Alan. No, the older Brady man from Frederickstead.
John Brady.
John Brady, yeah. He had horses. Even Shara Heiliger, he had a horse or two that used to run on the racetrack. Jopo Knight up here in Christian said he had horses. You remember Jopo, right?
He was a trainer, so he was.
He used to train his own horses. Yeah. Jopo, he had own horses, but he used to train them. Yeah, he had a bunch of horses there. You had some fellows around the D. Hamilton Jackson project or Basin Triangle project era that had horses. Fellows like Vaughn and James and a few others who had horses there. They had Flaming Jet, they had Sonaya Kashi, and a bunch of other horses there. You know, if I was to sit down and talk about it, more names will come back to me. But I don't remember off the cuff like that. But I remember going to the races in those days. I didn't have that. You're right. We didn't have those problems. There were no problems like that. And they used to have races sometimes like twice a month. Sometimes it would be twice a month. They got races.
That's right. And those used to be good races.
Oh yeah. I remember when before they start using the gate. But when they started using the gate was when I got a little older. That's when I really became a fan. I remember them having the gate. Bobby Skir, I forgot to mention him. He had the most horses here and the running on the racetrack. As a matter of fact, he had something most about over maybe 10, at least 10 different horses he had, and sometimes he had like about 6 or 7 of them would be running in one day. You had other people like Henry Rolson. Henry Rolson, who the airport is named after. He had some horses also.
Yeah, I remember Victor Chewick.
Oh yes, I remember him as a jockey. Yes, I remember him as a jockey. You had Myron Lake. You had Myron Laycock as a jockey. You had Animal Bermudez. Yeah, and you had Kuto, the Puerto Rican fellow named, I can't remember his last name. Kuto was a jockey. You had Country Primo.
Lord Rosado, that old Spanish lad, he was a trainer jockey.
Right. You had Omar Armstrong was a jockey. You had a whole bunch of a fellow named Dennis Forbes. I don't know. I don't know what became of him. He left here. I never came back.
You had Dennis Vanderpool.
Okay. All right.
Then Genix.
You had Genix. You had Tutut, Reginald Payne, I think was his name. Who was a jockey. You had Alcendo Roberts was a jockey. Even get down to younger fellows like Clyde Dennis and Avery Brown, Darby Martinez. You had this fellow Ray. He was called him Mego Ray. I think I can't remember Ray's last name. I think oh my goodness. I think he was Williams. I'm not sure. Mego Ray. He was a jockey. A whole bunch of fellows, man. They had some older fellows too. I mean, I can't remember now. Bunch of older fellows who were jockeys back in the day, late 60s time, early 80s time. Oh yeah, well Galento he was a jockey, but he was way back, He was like maybe the 50s and 40s.
He wrote for Tony Christian.
Okay. And if you're going back that far, then you gotta mention Jackie Albert Adams.
That's right.
Yeah. I knew him. I got to know him personally in his later years. I remember. I didn't know him, but I heard of him.
Very good jockey.
I think he was a contemporary of Jackie Albert. They were both riding around the same time. They were friendly competitors. They were friendly rivals, I should say. Because Jackie Albert went to St. Thomas. He went over to St. Thomas, I think, to ride it, and that's where he and Phipps became good friends.
Yeah. It's funny how times change and everything changed with it, and if it changed for the worse, you question it sometimes.
And then in the time when I was going to the racetrack, they brought in a lot of Puerto Rican jockeys from Puerto Rico. They used to import them. I remember this fellow named Fernando Reyes. Fernando Reyes, I think was his name. He used to ride for Dr. James. He used to ride for me. Oh, Mr. Roebuck. Yeah, Richard Roebuck he had horses also. I forgot to mention him. He had some good horses too.
Roebuck.
No, his father, Richard, I'm talking about.
Okay, I didn't know that one. I know Ruben had some horses.
Yeah, well, Ruben had some horses down more into the 70s. He had a mare named Ruben's Delight. But his father, Richard Roebuck, he had Helmar, and he had there was about 2 other horses he had up there that were pretty good. They used to bring in this fellow Regis to ride. A fellow named Manuel Caraballo used to come in to ride from St. Thomas. I mean, from Puerto Rico. There was a fellow named Velasquez who would come up to ride also. There was a fellow named Belmonte came up a couple of times. I think there were a couple of those fellows that came to ride at the racetrack here in St. Croix. Eventually ended up in New York, riding at the Aqueduct racetrack in New York.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, if you run out of about say you could substitute it with Colorado.
Yeah, or beer rum, beer rum. Well, we use that.
I got it on take care.
Yeah, man. Okay, man. Good, man. Right. Yes, man. It's always good. It's always fun, that old time talk. Remember in those old days, man. But let's see. I think we have another caller here. Let's go straight to the phone lines. Good morning, caller. Welcome.
Yeah, Pikey. Yeah, I heard you and my brethren there collaborated a while ago. He always makes so much sense. But with regards to guns and the availability of there is data that shows where guns are manufactured, there are less killings by guns. And let's look at the small Virgin Islands. I mean, people like former Senator Fort Bryan, former Senator Oakland Bent have been telling the authorities for years how and where these guns are coming into the island and by whom. I'm bringing them in by the trail alone, but they ain't looking to do nothing about it.
Oh, and you're right. For years, people have been telling this government that, and they have done nothing about it. I remember in the 70s, a lot of these guns were coming in right there to Hess. They were coming in to Hess, through Hess and Martin Red and those places. The venue changed after a while, I guess, after people started getting smart and getting wise up to it. The venues changed. At one time, they were coming in coffins.
True.
Not by this present funeral home now. Just to make that clear. Not this present funeral home and present funeral home director. But there was a time before him when guns were coming. I mean, and we know this because they were found.
Yeah. But we'd have liked to turn a blind eye and even got maybe who it isn't involved in it or that we getting something out of it.
Well, with the killings that happen here and the shootings that been happening here lately, and I've heard where the police were able to confiscate certain weapons. The type of weapons that they've been confiscating are not guns that come in through the mail. These ain't handguns, little simple handguns that come in through the mail. And they try to tell people. I remember somebody in the news, sometime maybe last year, year before, trying to come up with this thing about people, importing guns and they coming through the mail and they send them in parts and then they get them in parts and then put them together. That's nonsense, man. These high-powered rifles and automatic weapons and things. These guys ain't putting together nothing like that. They still come in parts. Oh yeah.
Listen. The people. I mean, I was told that one time down at it happened in St. Thomas, where a Palestinian person that was, brings in furniture and food.
Yes.
And he actually directed the custom people not to look at 6 trains. Don't check them through over there. I mean, what is this? Who's in charge? The guy named Arab and he got money in jail.
Well, we know this. This is something again that it was known. I mean, this, as much as people might be want to play like they forget about it now and all this kind of thing, but this is something that was known that they were coming in with furnitures or with refrigerators and all these kind of things.
Right.
I mean, people listen. Our government just like to procrastinate and like to turn a blind eye to things, that they should really be addressing. I mean, they know, the authorities know what's going on. They know the people behind the things wrong things that are happening here, but they refuse to do anything about it because I would imagine that somebody is benefiting from it. So they.
Right, but if they would only take 1 second to gun in my back so you could move them because maybe you're going to put a couple dollars in my hand. But then, who is getting hurt and killed? I don't see no Arabs getting shoot down. They're black boys shooting them black boys in the street every day.
Yeah, because that is the plan. That is the plan. We are the ones slated to be eliminated. So,
but I as a businessman has gotten and will continue to get in business with anyone, no matter where they're from. Now, if they're doing something in the background that I don't know about, and I find out that I'm done with them.
Well, and it's not all of them, and I'm not making a blanket statement because it's not all of them who are involved in that, and we know that. It's not it's not each and every one of them involved in all of that, you know. So, you know.
But you know what happened me one time, like here, going after this. This one Arab guy that he was running a number of stores and St. Thomas, young guy. I mean, he was just a big front man, you know, and he running all these stores. And I was in business with them from the standpoint that all the plumbing, refrigeration, electrical work, I had that contract. That I don't mean I had to perform it myself. I hire people to do the work, and of course I do the collecting and I pay them, I get my part out of it. But one morning, some young black boys were sitting down around the store, outside the store, because it wasn't inside the store. Smoking the grass, everybody passed, they want the quarter, they want the dollar. And it had a young lady. And I found out afterward it was one of them, your friends. She came down the hill. She went in the store to the Arab guy. He and she disappeared in the back. He told me hold the front and watch the front. And when he came back and the girl was, he telling me, he said, yeah, all I could do is sit up here and smoke grass and dollar. I say, are you 50 cents to sweep up in front of the place? And you can't do that because look, you woman just come down here for me to give us some money. And you know what you have to do for it? You know what you have to do for it? I mean, I think, and then it's a big laugh, like I said, give me a hand. Well, look at this.
That's what we have come to, my son. And I can tell you, man, in some instances, man, it's even worse than when we were in chattel slavery, you know.
Let me say this. I don't know. When I should say I don't know. Everyone here, the amount of gunfire that goes off around celebratory time, New Year's Day, morning, whatever. After midnight, it's sick. Let me tell you, one time I had a townhouse building, was sitting up on a hill above the public housing project. And this 30 years ago, maybe, when them fellow let off, it's not a thing where I don't say we go God. It's a bazooka. That's a thing belonging to the war. It was shaking building.
Yeah.
The police going there with a simple 30 years in their hand. You crazy? Let me tell you. But hey, I don't know. I really don't know what's going to be the outcome. Now with this AI and all of this, oh God, we're going down the rabbit hole now. Because
you call it a rabbit hole, I call it a cliff. We're going over the cliff.
This is the science now that's going to take over. This is the cure all, the done all, the whatever. I don't know. Anyway, your time running down, so I'll get somebody else.
Yes, man. Okay, man. All right, good.
Okay.
Yes, folks. What a day. What a time we have in here in the Virgin Islands, guys. And again, tomorrow, yes, tomorrow is the primary. I don't get involved too much with this primary thing, but because really and truly, you know, and it's being said now for some years. And you know, it's a funny thing with the Virgin Islands, you know, when people in the Virgin Islands get accustomed to something, it might be the wrong thing, it might be a bad thing, but when they get accustomed to it, they don't want to leave it alone. And it's really a bad habit, you know, because, and I'm referring to basically with the primary thing, because really and truly, what we have had going on here should have been a crime. What we had going on here for the past 40 or 50 years should have been a crime, where the government was actually sponsoring the primary elections for these parties. It is the political parties who are supposed to sponsor their own elections. On the US mainland, it is the political parties who sponsor their primary elections, not the government. The government takes care of the general election. But here in the Virgin Islands, you had the government sponsoring primary elections for damn near about the last 40 to 50 years. They were doing it, and nobody questioned it, nobody object. And it was wrong, totally wrong. And now today, when a few people come out and raise objections to it and start complaining about it, you have a bunch of dodo heads. Well, I have to call them dodo heads, trying to fight back against that and saying, no, well, they should do it. And the only reason why the government was doing that is because the majority of the people in government were Democrats. So they didn't question it, they didn't complain about it. The Democratic Party was running the government, and that is why nobody complained, nobody made any objections to it. But it was wrong, and it is still wrong to do. Government should not be sponsoring these primary elections. If the parties should be taking care of these primary elections, they know that that's the way it's supposed to be done, but they were getting away. They were getting a free ride, and nobody wanted to object. Nobody wants to complain about it because they were getting a free ride. So now today, when people come out and object and complain about it, you know, they're trying to make you seem as if you're complaining about nothing. Trying to make you feel like you are wrong to complain. It's just the same thing like what I said last week. People campaigning in all sorts of foreign languages. The official language here in these islands is English. You're supposed to do all your campaigning in English. If you don't want to learn English and communicate in English, then you don't need to be taking part in any election, because you're showing that you're not part of, you don't want to be a part of the society. So that when you, as a candidate for any political office, go campaign in a different language, you're encouraging division. You're promoting a division among people, because the whole society can understand what you're saying. Only a certain little select group you're trying to appeal to who speak that language, and you're trying to appeal to that little select group who speak that language. No, man, that's wrong. That little select group need to learn to talk English, otherwise stay out of politics, stay out of the whole political system. You think you could go to Russia or go in China and say you're going to campaign in Spanish? And hey, let's take a phone call. Yes, Carla, good morning and welcome.
Yes, good morning, Copemann.
Hey, Sally, how you doing, man?
Yeah, man, all right. Yeah, I'm gonna move in a different direction and mention.
Sure, man. Sure, you move in any direction you want to, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that I think Virgin Islanders should express more concern about, and that is this effort by the port authority director or acting director and the board to engage in this so-called public-private partnership with Sky City. Because when they came before, I mean, the amount of fabrication, if you look at what they said at the beginning versus what they're saying now, shows us that we're going to be in all kind of trouble when it comes to traveling from the Virgin Islands back and forth. Initially, remember when they came before us, Doug was the director at the time, said, look,
VI people ain't got to pay no money. This private company gonna come in and modernize the airport for us, the airports for us. We ain't got to pay no money. We don't have no money. We ain't got to pay no money. Now, when we're getting closer to concluding the agreement, they're saying that when one day will take over, if everything was to go through, they will take over the airport November 1st. And at the beginning of November 1st, they're going to introduce tariffs, increase fees, and that kind of thing, to deal with the operating costs of the airport, which is for $67 million a year. So you're looking at the airline and band together and came out and say, hey, that project is too costly and it's not going to be sustainable. And so a lot of the airlines may have to stop doing business, with the Virgin. That's what it's saying. Now, when these people came before they came out initially before the people of the VA, they say it will cost about $200 to $300 million to fix St. Thomas Airport. It will cost $100 to $150 million to fix St. Grace's Airport. So the airline never want a chance to look at the agreement and say this thing will cost over $1 billion. And they're looking at all kind of fees to recoup whatever. So ultimately the way the IC set up is that the people at the Virgin will be paying, but not people at the Virgin alone, the people who come into the Virgin also. Anybody who uses the airport, all them fees will go up. Of course, your airline ticket will go up because the airline people have said, look, the airline and band together, and they say that they all agree that there needs to be some improvement to the airport, but not at that cost and at that price that Sky City is looking to charge, right? So they band together and they come up. They're looking out, of course, for their bottom line. They're looking out for us. But right now, there's nobody looking out for the people at the Virgin because the airlines band together and they oppose this privatization by Sky City, and they provide an alternative option that will cost about $300 million, right? At least to do the basics.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, and they make it clear also in the public, they had a thing in St. Christ and they had one in St. Thomas, I think Wednesday, one in St. John Thursday. So-called, it was supposed to be a so-called public hearing. I don't really call it a true public hearing. But anyway, the airline them say, look, the cost them will be passed on. The airline them say, so the cost them will be passed on, so you'll be paying more for your airline ticket. And for whatever the fee you got to pay going to the airport, everything will be increased. And we the people at the Virgin will be the ones, it's our money to the large extent. I mean, other travelers who come into the VI too,
right,
who want to higher price tickets, will be the ones financing this project. And, to develop airports under the United States jurisdiction, they have about 5 different ways of getting money to develop the airport and modernize the airport. 5 different ways. A couple of local ways, some from FAA grants. The passenger fee is one of them that is used. Local money and the local thing could float bonds also. So there are ways for them to fix these airports without going to this company, to let this company fleece us. This is the same company that was involved in Bermuda. So I think when the talk in St. Clair, they were touting all the positive about Bermuda. But look at, when you look at the Bermuda people get messed over with this Aecon company. And what they do, right? What Aecon do is they sell, they already sold, they sold, I think, is what? 49%, I think, of the ownership of the agreement that they have with the Bermudan government to run the airport. They sell 49% of it to some foreign company, and the Bermudan people didn't know. until they see it in the newspapers. That time the company Akon was laughing all over to the bank. And look, they have something to do with Bermuda, right? They have something called a minimum revenue. But it's a minimum revenue that any year that the airport don't make a profit, and there's a loss, the Bermudian government will have to make up for that loss. So since the Bermudian PPP from 2017 to now, Bermuda government has paid the private company, over $48 million. Over $48 million. Now before the private company take over, Bermuda company used to make a profit from the airport annually. They used to make annual profit.
And so now they're not making any profit.
No, well, from 2017 to 2025, each year it has come down in recent years, like in 2024 and so. The fee they have to pay have come down, but originally it was like $70 million until they will pay at the end of the year, because the company claimed that they didn't make any money that year. The PPP that's running, that's running the airport. And when a new government came in Bermuda and started to look at this PPP and see if they could get out of it, they would have cost them too much money to get out of it. So they just have to go along with it. Wow. So yes, it's a whole and what they're coming to do with the VI is worse than what they do in Bermuda. It's worse than what they do in Bermuda. Because you won't tell me, Copemann, you have you say you have this public-private partnership, right? The company say they're going to invest so much. They say they're going to invest, I think, $200 to $300 million. Almost 100 to 150 million. About $500 million they're going to invest in the airport district. Well, right now, the real estate, the buildings, the runway, everything that we own, that Viper owns, cost more than $500 million. So I'm saying we are bringing more to the partnership than the private company.
Right.
But the private company is going to have total control of the. We have no control over the books, the airport, or nothing. The private company has no control. And then they turn around and tell the people that they're in privatization, right? They tell the people it's not privatization, but then they tell the airport employees that they have to come out of GEIS. Yeah. Well, once the PPP goes through, they have to come out of GEIS because GEIS is for government employees, and they try to tell us that there's no privatization. If there's no privatization, why is the airport employees got to come out of GEIS? A bunch of lies and things telling to the people. And,
well, I tell you the truth. I'm just now finding out about that situation you're talking about. But recently I did hear about another situation. I don't know too much about it, but where I believe the federal government has provided something like $900 million to the Virgin Islands government for the building of a new water and power authority plant. Yeah, a new plant, and one in St. Croix, and to fix up the one in St. Thomas. And from what I heard, it's like $600 million to build a brand new plant in St. Croix, and they got $300 million to fix the one in St. Thomas. Now, the thing is, what I've been hearing is like the question now is whether or not they're going to build a new plant in St. Croix, or they're just going to fix up the existing plant. But I don't know too much of the details. But I could see right away that you have people. There are people, I'm sorry to say, right here within our government, within our organized society, trying to figure out a way how they could get their hands on some of that millions of dollars, man. There's going to be a lot of corruption and a lot of mismanagement going to be involved in that whole thing, because whether or not they're building a new plant, and they claim they want to build it on the south side, the south shore, or whether they're going to fix up the Richmond plant, we don't know yet. That decision hasn't been made yet. But I could tell you, to me, it seems, whole thing seems a little fishy because unless the federal government puts some restrictions and some, some real, restrictions and expectations and that money. You got people around here, you got me studying all sorts of ways in which they could get their hands on some of that money. And when you started speaking about the situation with that you just mentioned with the airport, first thing that came to my mind is that hey, a lot of people studying kickback. One of the reasons for the outrageous price that these companies are charging is because of the kickback.
Yeah, that seems to be the norm. It's definitely the norm in the Virginians, right?
Yeah, man, this thing happening like without impunity. I mean, this is like a regular thing happening here in the Netherlands. Something costs $1, charge $5 because we got $2 to come back to me, and then you could get 1 or 2, and then the rest will go to fixing whatever it is supposed to fix. This thing is just simply outrageous, and I mean, more people need to start going to jail for these kind of things.
Yeah, the thing was, the unfortunate thing for us in the Virginians is you would think that someone of all people would be conscientious and turn whistleblower and leave us know what's going on with these kickback and things, because we know there's kickback thing going on. I mean, there's an institute, a well-respected institute over there in England, at Greenwich, a research institute.
You're gonna have to wrap up soon, eh?
Yeah, you got like 30 seconds.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they research PPPs for over 30 years. And they find there's a lot of corruption and kickback and things that happens with them,
Mm-hmm.
The consultant them is who make a ton load of money, along with kickbacks and things. That's the norm when you're dealing with PPP. But anyway, I'll stop it. I know. But give thanks again.
Yes, man. Thank you for your input too, man.
Right.
Always welcome.
All right.
Yes, man. All right. Have a nice day, man. A nice week too.
All right, you too.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, folks, it's at the top of the hour, and it's time for me to head out of town. We just want to wish everybody a happy and safe week and weekend. And hey, for those of you who are registered as a Democrat and plan to vote, please go out and vote. It's the primary, but please go out and vote. Make your voices heard. We need to get in the habit of really voting. But anyway, until next week, I want to say good morning and have a happy and safe weekend. Oh boy, yeah, I forgot to even that. I give you the CD to